You really want me to do it? And that's about all I can get now.
Yeah.
You like our whistling? Well, this is what I remember mostly, and it was going through my head over and over and over again when I went to the Old Homestead a few years ago. Jenna and I, Jody, are here with Lee Dunham from the Old Homestead, and we're going to talk a little bit about the play, the man, the oxen, all kinds of stuff today. But what I wanted to first start out with is, do you realize that this play has been going on for over 70 years?
Yeah, when you told me that, I was amazed.
Yeah.
So think of all the people that have sat in these benches with where we are sitting right now.
Right, it's just incredible. And from what I understand, because when I was there, Lee was actually talking, and he was like explaining a little bit of history and things at the play. This whole field behind us was packed, full
Full of people.
of people.
If you can believe, in 1939, when it first started, the whole thing packed, like 1,500 people
Yeah.
on one night.
Yeah.
1,500 people.
In one night.
One night
Wow.
in this area. I mean,
Packed.
Yeah.
Standing room only.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And you show it. What is it? Thursday, Friday, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
And you have a matinee usually. I can't
No,
remember.
no,
I can't
no,
remember.
no. No, we don't do
Okay.
a matinee.
Okay.
And we've tried and tried to do a Sunday
Okay.
matinee, and
Yeah. People are busy.
the problem is there's two problems. Sunday they have a church service in here, and if you sit in here, as you can see the sun on us right now, it gets awful hot
Yeah.
for the audience.
Yeah.
But what we also found is that we have critics that say, oh, the lighting. Because you get to the third act and you're supposed to be on a moonlit night in New York City. And
There's no moon.
and incidentally, if you didn't know, back in the old days, back in probably till about 1980 or so, when the street fair came into Keene, it always played on the full of the moon. So the moon was actually part of the play.
Oh, that's neat.
That is.
And
Well, you got to give me a little background on the play here, because I haven't seen it yet. I would like to see it this year, but you have to tell me a little bit of background, because that way the viewers will know, and I will know what I'm going to come and see in the history of it in July.
Well, let's start out with.
Who was the man?
We'll start out with Denman, because you'd think that if we've done this play, only one play here, to Denman Thompson, that he was from Swansea. Well, that's not exactly true. He was born in Girard, Pennsylvania. Now, the Thompson name is deeply rooted in Swansea, or Lower Ashwillet as it was called when it was first incorporated by Massachusetts, 1733. There was a Thompson, was one of the first grantors of land. However, Captain Rufus Thompson, Denman's dad, decided in 1831 to go west to the frontier. Frontier in 1831 being Western Pennsylvania. Think about
Very
that for a
different time,
second.
yeah.
But Girard, Pennsylvania is just a little bit underneath Lake Erie, so
Okay.
it's the western part of Pennsylvania. Denman was born in 1833. When he's 14 years old, at 1847, they come back. They long for the Old Homestead, and they come back to Swansea. Now, what you need to remember now is 3 years. From 1847 to 1850 is the only time that Denman, as a young person, was here.
Okay.
He spent those 3 years, and I'm not going to knock off, because it could be like 2.5 years.
Right.
Not knowing when they came back and when he left. But in those 3 years, he spent his winters across the street at the Mount Caesar Seminary. That's the only higher education or formal education that he had. And in the summertime and all the other times, he worked with his father as a carpenter. But he didn't like that. That wasn't what Denman wanted. He wanted more excitement. He was what they called more into sports than he was books, and doing things, just getting out. So at the age of 17, I think it was, he asked and got reluctant permission from his parents to take off and go to Boston. Now, would you do that to your 17-year-old? I mean, today?
Probably, and especially back then.
I know. It's not
So-
like you could write them an email and ask what they're needing.
So
Very different time.
he heads off to Boston in 1850 and first joins Tyrone's circus. You know, a little boy runs off and joins the circus.
Yeah.
That's the story. And he ends up getting a job with Tyrone's as a property boy. You know, banners and poles and, you know, helping to set up and whatever. And he also gets into the learning the acrobatics with the players. And he's good at that. He's very physical, very likes the physical stuff of it. Works with the circus for the year. And then he goes on and he gets a little bit part in I think it was Macbeth, but it's kind of hard to tell with the history of it. But he gets a little walk-on part. And that's sort of the bug that gets him. He wants to do acting. Takes him another couple of years before he ends up doing a speaking part.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he was good at, and dancing jigs and reels.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And an actor that could dance jigs and reels was worth a little bit more because there was, between sets, there was an opportunity to do that, and they'd pay them extra. So he couldn't do that anymore. That's when he turned to those 3 years here in Swansea, remembered some of the characters, and created Joshua Wickham. And he first played Joshua Wickham as a 25-minute sketch in 1875 at Pittsburgh. That's the first time it played, and it didn't do well.
Try again.
You know, but he kept going. I think Rochester, New York, and then off to Chicago. In Chicago, he met a fellow New Hampshireite by the name of J.M. Hill, who was he was into mercantile stuff. Wasn't a play guy or anything like that, but he knew business.
Mm-hmm.
And he saw Denman, and he maybe didn't like the show, but he liked the concept and the idea of the character. And they got together, and you know, through the two of them, they kept it up and refined it and brought it into a 3-act play. And it's said that they split $400,000 when they get done. So
Wow.
And that's back then.
That's back then.
Wow.
back in the 1870s. After that, the collusion between Denman Thompson and George Ryer are the two that are responsible for writing the Old Homestead, which is billed as a sequel to Joshua Wickham. So this is a sequel. This is
Part 2.
Joshua Wickham Part 2 is the Old Homestead. And that started in 1886, and he continued until his death,
Wow.
so 1911.
So who did he base any of these characters on? Or did he use any of the town folk?
Oh, yes. Well, if you can believe this, he's here 3 years, right? He based it on several characters in town. Joshua Wickham is the one I'm, how shall I say, partial to.
And why could that be, Lee?
Joshua Wickham is made up of 2 characters in town. And one of them was my great-great-great-grandfather, if I got it right, and lived just around the corner here, house still standing, was where I grew up. And Captain Otis Wickham, said to be the wrestle at town meeting guy, was the funny, humorous part of the character. And the other one that he based it on was Joshua Holbrook, who lived on Winch Hill. And his house still stands, a brick house up there. That's the 2 that made up Joshua Wickham. Out of the 2, only my great-great-great-grandfather lived to actually see the fame that Denman had. Aunt Matilda happens to be Joshua Holbrook's sister, Aunt Rhodey, who there is a lot of talk of. You know, she was like a seamstress that would go to everybody's house and mend their clothes and do whatever.
Nice lady, though.
That's what she did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're all up on the hill, Mount Caesar Cemetery.
Do you think we have ghosts around here? It kind of feels like that while you're talking about it.
What I like to bring up the fact that they are real people.
Right.
I mean, they really lived back in the 1800s. My ancestor died in 1882, so before the Old Homestead, but he got to see Joshua Wickham. So. And supposedly a lot of the antics are based on him Denman taking Captain Otis down to Boston and possibly New York. I don't know if I'll ever find that one
It's
out
part
for
of the
sure.
play.
Okay, yeah, I have to come see this play.
You've got to come and see this play.
Yeah.
I had heard about it for a long time, and I finally went in 2009, and you've got to see it.
Yeah,
I mean, there's no
clearly
reason-
there's all these
Yeah.
different things I need to come and find out about.
Yeah.
So then at this point, when it became, so he wrote The Old Homestead after
Right.
the Joshua Wickham, right? I
Right.
got this right? Okay. And then when did it become, the town of Swansea start performing it?
Well, the town it actually started this way. In 1933, we had the town's 200th anniversary.
Oh, and let me put something in there, Lee. My dad would want me to say this. I have this program
I
that
have it too.
was for the 200th celebration.
Right.
It's got all kinds of old photographs in it. I feel like I've got some very old
Fragile
document.
piece of history.
Yes, I mean this is just amazing. And in here, my great, I think, or great grandfather, Chester Lane, was part of the officers,
The committee.
He was the vice president of the Old Home
So is that why you had it?
anniversary committee. Yeah, my dad has given me this to show
remember it
everyone and
by?
to share. But
So in 1933 was the 200th
Yeah.
anniversary of the town of Swansea.
right.
And the
Okay.
100th anniversary of Denman's birth.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Well, understand this. There's actually two dates for Swansea. The 1733 from Massachusetts.
Right.
1753 from New Hampshire when it was actually
named Swansea.
as we know it today.
Right.
Okay, so then 1933 there was a big celebration, and was the play performed at that?
The play was not performed at it, but they had a performance in, I believe it was the Keene Junior High or Keene High School probably then. And they only did 3 acts.
How many are there total?
4.
Four.
There's 4 acts. I believe the one that's missing out of it was the 3rd act, which is a Grace Church. Now, just to tout a little bit for the public here, we have the actual curtain that was painted by Philip Goucher in 1887 or 8 that Denman Thompson used.
Really?
It is, I hate to say how rare to have that, and I'd at some point like to have it, restored someplace
Yeah.
and probably put up, but I'd have to have something to replace it. That's
Yeah.
the trouble.
Right, exactly.
I mean, it's almost irreplaceable.
Right.
Yeah.
But we have that original prop that he used, original scenery.
Wow.
It's a really simple play. I mean,
Yeah.
it's complex, but it's simple. I mean, in the sense of props and the different things that are going on.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder what's going to happen next every time you're watching it. It's just
Yeah.
The good thing about the play, it comes into a time, if you know anything about 18th century theater, 18th century theater was a little bit, over the top, if you will. As Denman got into it, it got into the realism phase. And Denman was really good at realism. And what you see in the 4th act with the kitchen, we don't quite have it as good as we had it when we first started this play, but it's true to what New England kitchens were. And that's what it really, understand when he was going in 1886 and 1890, he was going into New York City, and a lot of the people grew up on farms. So he was tugging at
Right.
their hearts at what they remember from their childhood, and that's why he really made money at it.
So is that why you think it was so successful?
That's why he was really successful.
Yeah.
I mean, think of this, and I always like to say this one. He brought oxen onto stage, any stage he could. I mean, he couldn't do it at everyone, but
Right.
think of New York City or Washington, D.C., or Chicago, San Francisco.
Did he play? The play
And
was in all those places.
I say that to somebody today, and they go,
Yeah.
oxen on stage?
Yeah.
Well, think of it.
Yeah.
In the 1880s, the oxen were the tractors and the trucks of the day, and it was commonplace. So it wasn't a big thing back then, but it was realism.
So the play did play in all those places?
Oh yes, all
Oh,
over
really?
the country.
Really?
Denver. The advent of the internet is really great because I've been trying to search and find little tidbits here and
Yeah.
there of all the different places he played. And he played all over the country.
Wow, that's so interesting. I had no idea. And then at what point, when did he pass away? I assume, did he retire? Or did he just kind of keep going until...
Well, I've uncovered evidence that he had several troops playing the Old Homestead, so he might be in it at one point, and then he'd have an understudy. Henry Horton actually is the one that played for 1933, was an understudy for Uncle Josh for Denman Thompson. Well, what he did in his last efforts, he'd play maybe one act of the play and then have the other guy play. Or he was also doing variety theater. I've found a few programs where he did a portion of Joshua Whitcomb by himself while somebody else was doing the play, other places.
Oh, interesting.
So,
and then
he kept busy.
When he died, was he in Swansea?
He died at his home over in West Swansea in 1911.
Okay.
It's said that they brought a special train down from Keene. Of course, I think the way it works with a train, I'm not old enough to know this, but the Cheshire line came into Keene, and then from Keene you could take the Ashwillet line, which would bring you down into Swansea. And it said they put a special train to come up, bring friends and whatever from Boston up for his funeral.
And then it was, so 33 was the 200th anniversary celebration.
Right.
And then in 39, the play was performed?
1939, a guy by the name of Leland Bogue from North Swansea. There's two things that I've seen written. One is the Hopkins PTA, which I believe the Hopkins School, and I've never found this out for sure, would be where the Jehovah's Witness church is. But it's also what I'm more likely to believe is the North Swansea Community Association, which is the building where the Y is now, Cheshire Y. They needed something to pay off their mortgage, and the Leland Bogue is the one that suggested that they do the play. What better play to do than one about Swansea? So they knew that was a gigantic task. So what they did is they came down and they asked the people at the church down here at the First Congregational Church, help out.
Yeah.
And they both did. And it grew to include all the churches in Swansea. And a lot of people actually worked on it. How shall I say? There are so many people that worked on this over the years that it's mind-boggling.
Who are some of the people that have continued to work on it? Because we only have a few more minutes. But who are some of the people that have really made a difference in keeping this alive?
Well, what comes to mind first is Gus Williams, or Frederick Williams is the actual name, who played Uncle Josh for a long time. He played Cy Prime, Cy Prime, the biggest liar in Swansea. Cheshire County actually is the term. But when I first remember him, he's one of the first years he came in, he started to understudy Cy Prime. And he kept going. He's been with the play for longer than I have, 40 some odd years, played Uncle Josh for the last probably 15 or so years. He's been very instrumental in keeping it going. And of course, when you think about this, there's a lot of family involvement. Of course, my family, the Dunhams, have been involved all the way through from 39 on.
It kind of seems like sometimes people pass it on too.
They,
from what I saw.
The Hanrahans, again, Walter Hanrahan was our first Cy Prime. We still have a Hanrahan on stage doing Cy Prime right now. The Hagers, another group. Julie Hager started doing Rickety Ann.
You'll like
And
Rickety
she passed that down to her daughter, is now doing
Yeah.
Rickety Hand,
Yeah.
and she's doing Aunt Matilda.
Yes.
So it goes through and through.
Yeah.
Now don't you have a program from more
well,
recently?
I've one from 2009, which was my first time seeing the Old Homestead, and you, as I said, were announcing all of the background for things. It's just one of those things that is very memorable. You know, you go to see other plays, and it's a play.
Yeah.
It's a great play, but the Old Homestead, you remember. You remember almost, I mean, I almost feel like I can remember everything that's going to happen. And then I can't wait to go see it again, because I want to see who's going to be playing it, who's going to be singing. When you have the little barber shop kind of quartet.
The double male
Yeah,
quartet.
you have a bunch of farmers up there singing a song,
Yeah.
and the oxen are walking by, and the sets. I mean, everything is just beautiful. And to organize this whole thing, who did you have as director for a long? You've had several, but
I was thinking about it the other day. Of course, we have to say how much we're going to miss Jerome Ebbinghausen. Mr. E, for all of those high school students that he had. He was here since 1973.
Wow.
I believe that. He came over, supposedly, Gus always told me, he came over to help us out for a few years. He's only the fourth director that we've had in 73 years.
Wow. Now that, I know I keep saying that word, but that's amazing. That is amazing. And so he's done now.
Unfortunately, Mr. E passed away just a couple weeks back.
Oh, I didn't know that. So now you'll be looking for
we're
be hard to
going-
replace him.
We're going to go on without him and sort of do, we've got a meeting coming up, and I think we're going to try to do this year as a tribute to Mr. E. And then we'll start the task to look for somebody new.
now, do you have to be a resident of Swansea to be in the play,
No.
or to
No.
become a volunteer, or what kinds of things are you looking for to
No.
keep this thing alive?
I'm looking for anybody that is living, breathing, and can.
and is interested and has passion
And
and
enjoys
theater.
the theater.
Yep.
Yes.
We put it out. We've had a website up for probably 4 or 5 years now. We've got a Facebook page, so if you just go on to Old Homestead Association, I think is how we're on Facebook, and like us, please.
Yeah.
But we ask constantly for people to help out. I mean,
The pay is great, isn't it?
there's nobody on stage that is a professional actor. Nobody's going to laugh.
Well, you
they'll
hope these guys will laugh.
Well, we'll laugh, but
Yeah.
we all laugh together.
Right, right.
We do pull practical jokes on each other.
Yep.
That's a whole nother thing.
Yeah. That
We
is
could do a
one
program.
thing.
We could do a program on that. But
When I was watching it, I was watching people, because I like to see what people. You can wonder what people are thinking, or what they did on the back before they came out to
Yeah.
stage, because they all smirk for some reason. I don't know why, but it almost seems like they know something that you don't know.
Yeah, there's something going on back there. So when is the
All good. All good.
all good? Now the play. So I want to come see it this year. It's mid-July every year, and it
Every year.
coincides with what the old home home
Yeah,
days.
Old Home Days.
Yeah, and black fly season.
yeah,
Yeah.
So bring your spray.
there's mosquitoes here, but they're kind.
They are. Yeah. It's much. It's totally worth it to be here.
Oh
It's
yeah.
always the third weekend in July now. We switched, it was probably 30 or so years ago we switched.
Just yesterday.
Yeah.
It was, we switched to the third weekend rather than follow the full of the moon, which they did before.
Right.
And they did that so that the moon was
Above.
going over the stage. During the third act is when they say that. And, we sort of like the continuity to have it all at the same time. Because you go the full of the moon, sometimes you were like the
Yeah.
last week of July, or sometimes you could be the second week of July. I mean, it was all over the
Yeah.
place.
So we can plan on this.
And plan on
We can
it.
put it on
July.
your calendar.
Yeah, I'm putting it on mine when I get home.
And Old Home Day is always now the Saturday of the play, and it's a big celebration.
I mean, so all day
parade.
you have a parade, you have the Old Home Day, you have farmers market, music.
Yep.
They have great bands that come in and play for that, and then you can
Come and watch the play.
come and watch the play and you have refreshments.
Refreshments,
Yes.
yes. We have a stand open,
Yep.
hot dogs and sodas and
Yep.
water. And
It's an old home day. You know, it's the Old Homestead.
It's great.
Just, if you want some really fun time that is with your family, and it's just old fashioned. It's good to get back to, you know, not being on television. I know
Well,
I
and
keep
I-
preaching this, but
Well, I just
this
love
is fun.
Yeah, no, I just love the fact that, from my perspective, you know, I love history. I love finding out the history of, you know, anything related to where we live. I'm not from this area originally. I'm from California, so the thought that, you know, there's history here that I'm learning about, and not only that, but this play might have even played in San Francisco.
Oh,
It's
it did,
possible.
yeah.
That's right. You never know.
You know, you never know, so it's exciting. So if
Yeah.
you want to see the play, you should definitely check it out in July.
And do you buy tickets beforehand or at
You
the door?
can buy. We've gotten sort of slow on this, but you know, we do it as just cash, and we don't take credit cards and
Mm-hmm. Right,
stuff.
right.
It's only $8, so it's not like it's going to break the bank.
So make sure you
anyway.
bring cash with you.
We'll take a check still.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can buy them ahead of time if you want. It's outdoors, so be prepared for.
Sprinkles or
Weather or
bugs or,
whatever.
And you
Yep.
can bring a blanket.
You can bring a
You
blanket.
can sit up on the hill if you
Bring a
want.
picnic.
Yep.
You know.
And these benches.
We've had people do that too. Come up and have a picnic.
Yeah.
You know, dinner and
That sounds like a great
listen to
idea.
a band concert
Yep.
before.
Oh yeah, because you have a band.
45 minutes before curtain
And
time.
who's your
we'll have
band? Or in the most recent, but who's your band?
it. Generally, I'll have Nelson Town Band in here, and Winchester Community Band will be here.
Yeah.
Still working on a third one for right now. but
Yeah, we'll wait and
We'll have
see.
one.
See,
Yeah.
we have to come and find out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And you have to wait and see who are going to be the oxen because
Right, 'cause it
on a
could
previous
be-
show we learned we don't know if it's going to be Ike and what was the other one?
Ike and Bright or
Jesse
and
and
James.
James. Yes.
So we'll have to come to see.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Now, understand this: we have live oxen here every
Yes.
year.
Every
Yes.
year.
It was very difficult to do until Open Space Committee got involved
Right.
and did what they did.
Yeah.
Because it's hard for farmers to keep oxen.
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, and we also find that we run against a pulling event in Vermont
Yeah. Yeah.
on the third weekend.
Well,
in
you know that you got these
July,
boys.
So
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're all set.
So I think we're just about finished.
Yeah, we're almost out of time. So
Okay,
let's
mark your calendar.
Yep, July, third weekend.
Yep.
We'll be here. I know I'll be here. Jody might come again. We'll see.
We'll
what her
come on
schedule
different
holds.
nights, yes, yeah.
We can see. And if you would like to let us know any ideas you have for our show in my backyard, you can get to us at inmybackyardch8@gmail.com. Give us some ideas, anything else you think that we should know about, that we could publicize and let other folks know about right here in the Monadnock region.
Right. You can be our guest.
Yeah.
So I think we should all whistle.
I can't whistle, but you can go ahead.
I can't, but I'll try.
Okay.
Okay,
what are
ready?
we doing again? The-
It's not going to be the same. See you in my backyard.